Alzheimer's disease and loneliness go hand in hand. So what can be done to combat loneliness in our senior population? Sherri?
One of the things that we know is that right now, 8 million people over the age of 50 identify as chronically lonely. So what does that mean in terms of this disease? There was a really fantastic research study that was done earlier this year that was published. It was the most comprehensive study because it was the largest group of people that had been studied, 12,000 people. It was very diverse, so we looked at a lot of different cultures and different ethnicities, both genders. And what did they find? What they found is that not only do people who get diagnosed become lonely because, as I said, you can't interact as easily, your communication isn't really there, you start to withdraw. So you are then creating a little bit of that own loneliness that we have to help break through as family caregivers. But because I focus so much on the family caregiver, self-care and health, I just want everyone to know that in this study, what they found is that being lonely will increase your Alzheimer's risk by 40%, which is pretty significant. So we have to discover ways, and this is any age, right? We know teenagers are lonely today. So anyone at any age can be lonely, and the longer that you're lonely, the more risk that you're gonna have for a lot of negative health impact.
So what are your suggestions? Let's say someone out there is watching this and at any age, and they are feeling lonely and they're worried about the ramifications in the long term. What are your suggestions for them?
I would say that we have to find ways to stay socially engaged. And so this program is a wonderful way to have that engagement. I worked on a research study recently at USC and with AARP and a rideshare company. And what we found is we started out by thinking we were gonna give free rides to patients that are over the age of 65 who weren't coming back for their checkups, their follow-up medical appointments, which we know is a big, huge issue in healthcare. But what we wanted to also test out is, because they don't have access to transportation, are they lonely? Are they socially isolated? And what we found is we gave them 90 days of free rides with Lyft, and 66% of them used it for social activity, things they weren't doing previously, seeing their sister for lunch, going shopping. And at the end of the study, the analysis showed that 92% of everyone in the study self-reported feeling a better quality of life.
Well, and we do have to go to break, but before we do so, I want to go back to you, DANI, Michael. For people who are out there right now, and realistically, we not everyone can get a comedian to come by. What are things that you can do with your loved one who may be going through Alzheimer's to connect with them with laughter?
Well, I actually came up with a whole training for this because I train caregivers and family members now. And the two that jump out is, you have to be honest. Nobody ever laughed if you're trying to pretend something isn't there. And that is the beauty of a comedian. They're going to come in and go, oh my God, this is what a place. What about the lighting or whatever? But they're going to connect with the person because they're not pretending it's not happening. So I would say that's the biggest one. And that takes a lot of courage, right? It takes courage to look at your loved one and see the truth. But that is a great gift that you can give them. And another one is to let go of a bad moment, because the nature of the disease is, you don't know what they're thinking. In 1 minute they can be upset, and then you turn away and you look back and they're laughing. And you're like, well, but if I was invested in the moment where they're upset, I'm gonna miss that next moment. So to always try to stay as present as you can. And then I think lastly, it's really important to not try to have the most perfect visit ever. Like, it's okay that it's imperfect. Whatever you're doing is so valuable. Just to hold their hand, just to sit there and, maybe don't talk. Just look in their eyes and say, I see you and I love you. Like, that's really good.
Do you want to know what makes it perfect? Just showing up.
Yeah,
exactly.
the presence.
And I think that's the lesson. Thank you for sharing that lesson with us.